Live breaking news, everybody. President Trump was just granted a massive victory for the American people, exactly what we voted for, by the Supreme Court today in a 6-3 ruling ending temporary protected status for asylum seekers, something that Biden and Kamala, the Ugandan fake border czar Harris, utilized to funnel in millions of illegal aliens into our country. I'm going to explain, as I always do, we're going to the trusty outline, what all this means, what happens next, what can happen, what can't happen, and a whole lot more. But first, check this out. The Democrats are reeling over this ruling. Check out this quick clip.
Judges came back and said that it would be cruel to end it, that they need these protections. One of the federal judges even accused Kristi Noem of being racist for wanting to overturn these protections. So,
and remind us what we're looking at here.
This was Del Rio, Texas, in September of 2021, when we had about 15 to 20,000 Haitians cross the border illegally and just set up camp under the international bridge there. I was there. It's probably in the 4 years of border coverage, the craziest thing I ever saw. And again,
but you also pointed out to me that they might not have been allowed in under TPS or allowed to.
So the thing about this is most of these people weren't coming from Haiti. Like I posted all these pictures all along the riverbank. There were discarded passports, IDs, paperwork. Most of them had been living in Chile, Peru, and like Brazil.
Haitian people after the earthquake.
Yes, they were not coming directly from Haiti, but they got rid of all these documents and like these work permits from Chile because they didn't want U.S. authorities to know they had resettled in another country before coming here because it would hurt their possible asylum.
You know, I got to say something. When Bill Melugin said it was one of the worst things, most insane things he's ever seen, that's a guy who does not engage in sensationalism or over-exaggeration. He's very straightforward. Somebody I think is an all-star at the Fox lineup. I hope he really kind of keeps rising up in the ranks. And, you know, I've shown multiple videos over the last 24, 36 months showing the exact same thing, that all of these illegals have been taking advantage of the lax border and immigration policies that were implemented by Biden, Harris, and not even, you can't even say Obama. Like Obama, I'm going to talk about this thing called metering, which the Trump administration reinstated. Biden got rid of this concept of metering, which was a guardrail to protect our border. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. So here's the actual ruling right here, decided June 25th, 2026. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 governs the process by which an alien who, quote, arrives, is inspected by border officials, is deemed an applicant for admission, and may apply for asylum. The question in this case is when an alien who seeks to enter the United States or Mexico arrives, quote, this comes up a lot, in the United States within the meaning of that phrase in two key INA provisions. When the alien is standing in Mexico or only when the alien crosses the border and enters the country, question mark, right? So the ruling here, essentially the wisdom of the policy of metering alien arrivals at the southern border, this is what I talked about, and I'll explain all this. We decide only that an alien standing in Mexico does not, quote, arrive in the United States. The INA neither entitles such an alien to apply nor requires an immigration officer to inspect him. It is so ordered. 6-3, that was the landmark ruling. I'm sure you guys can guess who dissented. It shouldn't be that difficult. Of course, it was all the liberal justices. So here's my trusty outline. I've done all the work for you, so you don't have to worry about anything. Just sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, your favorite drink. Your boy Nez is going to take care of everything. And in full transparency, as I always do, I'll be giving away all my notes. So if you want to learn how to do that, stick around. I'll give away all these notes for free that you can have. So here's the term arrival at the U.S. border, quote, quote, arrival. At the U.S. border now means physically crossing into the country. On June 25th, 2026, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that non-citizens standing on the side of the Mexico border have not, quote, arrived in the United States under key parts of the Immigration and Nationality Act. This means the government is not required to inspect them or allow them asylum until they physically cross onto U.S. soil. The decision reverses lower court rulings and gives the executive branch clearer authority to manage processing at ports of entry. This is the big kind of win for America, exactly what we voted for, exactly what Trump ran on in 2024. Promises made, promises kept. The ruling in plain English, an alien, quote, arrives in the United States, end quote, only when they cross the border into U.S. territory. The INA does not entitle someone standing in Mexico, even right at the port line, to apply for asylum or requires a U.S. immigration officer to inspect them. That is what the Biden-Harris regime utilized. The court decided only this narrow statutory interpretation question. It did not rule on broader asylum policy, international obligations, or whether metering turnbacks are good policy. The direct quote, "We decide only that an alien standing in Mexico does not arrive in the United States." I want to play this quick clip and then I'll give you a background on the metering turnback policy. But check out this quick clip where Justice Alito almost seems to be scorning the liberal justices, specifically Sotomayor. Check this out.
I believe that both you and Justice Sotomayor and Justice Jackson on several occasions have used the phrase arriving at. I think you said you arrived at your house, but that's not the term that is in the statute. Do you think there is no difference between arriving at a location and arriving in the location? Does a person arrive in the house when the person is not in the house and is knocking at the door, asking to be admitted to the house?
Yes, I think here the door is open. The officer is standing on the other side of the threshold.
So you can see, just like everything in the statutes, my hero, my idol, Antonin Scalia, Justice Antonin Scalia, may his soul rest in peace, used to talk about this all the time. We're all just a bunch of lawyers. The country was founded on semantics, language, interpretation, law. That's all rhetoric is. I've taught the principles of rhetoric at the university level, ethos, pathos, logos. This is all about what I like to use in my classroom, an awareness of the language choices that we make. This is almost like a microscopic inspection of the actual connotation of these terms. And it has seismic ramifications and consequences. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. So here's the background on metering. Starting in spring 2016, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, faced massive surges at ports of entry along the southern border. We all saw that. Ports of entry along the southern border in San Ysidro. Processing capacity was overwhelmed. How metering worked in practice. CBP officers stood on the U.S. side of the borderline. They limited the number of people inspected and allowed to apply for asylum each day, sometimes to dozens or low hundreds, depending on capacity. Others were told to return to Mexico and wait, sometimes for days or weeks, often without guaranteed appointments. The policy aimed to prevent dangerous overcrowding, long waits in unsafe conditions, and overwhelmed officers. This metering continued across administrations until the Biden administration rescinded it in November of 2021. Gee, I wonder why. I think we all know why. The lawsuit challenged the policy while it was active. Here you can see a picture of that same exact port of entry. Concrete example at the San Ysidro, port of entry during peak surges, long lines formed on the Mexican side. People presenting at the port were sometimes turned back if daily processing limits were reached, even if they had valid claims or were at the front of the line. The lawsuit and procedural history. Plaintiffs Al Otro Lado, a legal advocacy organization and a class of asylum seekers. They argued the metering policy violated the INA by unlawfully withholding mandatory inspection and the right to apply for asylum. You can see the sections of the statute. Lower courts, U.S. District Court for Southern California and Ninth Circuit, sided with plaintiffs, ruling that people at the port had arrived. Gee, I wonder what side of the aisle they leaned on. The Supreme Court granted review and heard arguments on March 24th. Today's decision reverses the Ninth Circuit. Here's the key statutory. Thank God Almighty. Thank you, Lord. I love you. Key statutory language at issue. The INA says certain rights and duties apply to an alien who arrives in or is physically present in the United States. You can see the statutes there allows asylum applications by those who arrive, requires inspection of those who arrive or are present and seeking admission. I'll make sense of all this. I'm just going through it as diligently as I can because I wanted to share with you that I've really combed every aspect of this. And I want to cross all my T's and dot all my I's. Then I'll give you the long and short. Just hang around. The fight was over the ordinary meaning of arrives in. Can you believe that? Majority's reasoning, Justice Alito, joined by Roberts, Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. Hence, it was 6-3. The court used ordinary meaning, statutory context, and canons of interpretation. Arrive means to reach a destination within the United States, not reach the doorstep or attempt entry. This is the big difference. And this is a sneaky way the Democrats used to essentially flood our country with the worst, to use Trump's words, and I agree 100%, the worst scum of the earth. Terrorists, gangsters, thugs, criminals, felons, Tren de Aragua, the worst of the worst, who committed mortal harm to American citizens. Do you hear a peep out of the Democrats about that? Is there any a protest for Laken Riley, for Sheridan Gorman, this poor young lady whose family now is going to suffer endlessly ad infinitum over these asylum sanctuary policies of the Democrats? Are there any protests? Are there any outrage from Democratic politicians? Goose egg, zero. What does that tell you? So the court used ordinary meaning. Everyday analogies used in the opinion. A running back does not arrive in the end zone while standing at the 1 yard line. Brilliant point. A guest does not, I just shared with you the clip. A guest does not arrive inside a house while standing at the front door. Mail has not arrived in the mailbox while still in the carrier's hand. Congress changed language in 1996 from at a land border or port of entry to arrives, signaling a deliberate shift. That was under Clinton. Presumption against extraterritorial application of U.S. law. These provisions regulate conduct and rights inside the U.S. Metering, this is where metering comes in, merely delayed, did not permanently bar entry and improved safety and processing conditions at ports. Justice Thomas concurred, adding notes on limits to class-wide relief and executive authority. And the big shocker, here's the dissenting justice, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, the liberalist, unqualified DEI hires of the court, the highest court in the land. Can you believe this? These three inept activists, they're not judges, especially Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was appointed by Biden. They look at everything through the lens of DEI, everything through the lens of liberal, far-left, extreme ideologies. That's how they make their judgments. That is an absolute abomination. It is direct antithesis to the Constitution. The dissent argued arrives should include those presenting at ports, of course, because it favors them. The majority's view creates perverse incentives. It encourages people to cross illegally, where they can claim asylum after, rather than wait lawfully at ports. BS. They just want to stretch. They want to stretch the law just so far without bending it. They want to stretch it all the way to the maximum point of breakage and then pull back just a scotch so they can allow everything and everyone who supports their activist cause to literally turn our country upside down. There's no other way of putting it, folks. I'm not being sensational. I'm not being hyperbolic. That is the deal. Historical practice and purpose of asylum protections support broader access. The ruling gives the executive too much power to evade statutory duties by simply stopping people inches from U.S. soil. Actually, it does so much more and so much better than that. These are egregious. Justice Jackson separately questioned whether the case was moot after the policy's rescission. Of course she would argue that. So here's here's the kind of gist of it here, and then I'll really get in the long and short. Future metering or similar policies, the government can now implement capacity-based limits, asylum at ports of entry to trigger the statutory right to apply via a port. A person generally needs to be physically in the U.S., not hanging out outside. Port processing and backlogs potentially allows more orderly, absolutely, managed processing. Illegal crossings, critics, including the dissent, warn it may push more people toward dangerous between port crossings. Well, if you do that, we're going to arrest you. Supporters argue it encourages the use of legal ports when capacity allows and deters unsafe surges. It actually deters the illegals, not the other way around. Also, humanitarian considerations. Asylum seekers waiting in the Mexican border areas may face continuing risk, violence, extortion. The ruling does not address international law. Executive versus judicial. Strengthens the executive branch's discretion, which is he's the duly elected leader who represents us. Reinforces territorial limits on certain INA obligations. So what happens next? Lower courts will implement the reversal and remand. The current administration can adjust border policies accordingly. Congress could legislate changes to the INA if it wants. Related litigation on other asylum restrictions or enforcement may continue. The ruling is a significant clarification of statutory text rather than a wholesale overhaul of asylum law. And again, it centers on one precise question. When does someone illegally arrive? That's the big question. So here's the kind of long and short of it. After the 6-3 ruling, this basically means that simply reaching the U.S. borderline from Mexico does not legally count as arriving in America, giving border officials more power, which is what we afford them. They're risking their lives to manage crowds without immediately triggering full asylum processing. The reason the Democrats, the reason these specific DEI judges were appointed was quite simply to engage in one of the most massive treasonous routes of our country we've ever seen. I've said it once and I'll say it ad infinitum. Biden's biggest crime was not that he was incapacitated, that the auto pen, amongst all of those things, and that he gave all of our money to Ukraine and that he engaged in all sorts of nefarious dealings, backroom deals, etc. The biggest crime, maybe even the biggest crime in U.S. history, was allowing a foreign invasion under the law by bending the law so much. I've got testimonies from CBP, from ICE, Border Patrol union officers, the leaders, the presidents of the associations, all saying we couldn't do our job. Biden and Kamala told us not to do our job. And if you look at how hard they're fighting against the Save America Act, if you look at the actual map of 2024, that Kamala, the fake Ugandan border czar Harris, did not win a single state that required voter ID. That, ladies and gentlemen, tells you everything about the radical left agenda. And with these socialist wins in New York that just took place, which there's no such thing as socialism, it's all Bolshevik communism. Where are they headed? They're going even more extreme. So if they ever get back in power, y'all, you thought 2024 was consequential? You ain't seen nothing yet. And you best believe I'm going to keep fighting. You best believe I'm never going to stop. As long as there's oxygen coursing my lungs, I'm going to fight for the red, white, and blue, for your kids, my kids, your grandkids, my grandkids, my great, 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 great grandkids, and more. And I need your help. You can help. Tap that thumbs up. Share this everywhere. Let me know your comments. If you want a copy of these notes, there's a free download. You can find it in the show notes description and in the pinned comment. You can just download it for free. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here, just in case you missed them. Tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.